Good day, everyone. Today I want to talk about something that holds many of us back from living our best lives: fear. Fear is a universal experience. Every person here has felt it at some point. But let me tell you something powerful. Fear is not meant to control you, it's meant to challenge you to grow. Let me start with this truth. You were not born to be timid, you were born to be bold. Fear is learned behavior. Think about it. When you were a child, you weren't afraid to take your first step, even though you fell. You weren't afraid to speak your first words, even though they came out wrong. But as you grew, the world taught you to fear failure, rejection, and even success. Fear often appears at the most pivotal moments of our lives. It's that inner voice that whispers doubts when you're standing on the brink of a decision, a change, or a challenge. But let me tell you this: fear is not your enemy. Fear is a signal. It's like a flashing light on your journey, reminding you that you're about to step into uncharted territory. And what does that mean? It means you're growing. It means you're advancing. It means you're moving towards something significant. The problem is, most people misinterpret fear. They think it's a warning to stop, to retreat, to avoid. But fear doesn't show up when you're standing still. It doesn't come to visit when you're playing it safe. Fear arises when you're stepping into something meaningful, something that stretches you beyond your comfort zone. Imagine this: you're about to climb a mountain. Standing at the base, you feel the weight of the challenge ahead. Your heart races and your mind starts to conjure up all the reasons why you shouldn't proceed: the height, the risk, the uncertainty. That's fear talking. But that same fear is also proof that the mountain is worth climbing. You see, the greater the reward, the louder fear's voice becomes. Fear is not meant to stop you, it's meant to prepare you. It sharpens your focus, heightens your awareness, and reminds you to be intentional about your next steps. Think of it this way: a seasoned pilot doesn't panic when turbulence hits. Why? Because turbulence is a natural part of flying. The pilot adjusts, adapts, and continues toward the destination. In the same way, fear is like turbulence on the journey to your goals. It's a natural response, but it doesn't have to dictate your actions. Let me share a truth with you. The most successful people you admire didn't achieve greatness because they were fearless. No, they felt fear just like you and me. The difference is that they didn't let it paralyze them. They saw fear for what it was: a signal, not a stop sign. When fear told them, "This is too big for you," they responded, "That's exactly why I'm going for it." Here's something to think about. If fear is a signal, then ignoring it isn't the solution. Instead, you need to confront it and ask, what is this fear trying to tell me? Sometimes it's telling you to prepare more, to plan better, to approach the challenge with wisdom. Other times, it's simply reminding you that you're stepping into a new level of your potential. Fear doesn't show up for mediocrity, it shows up for moments that matter. But let's be honest, fear is uncomfortable. It shakes your confidence, clouds your judgment, and tempts you to retreat. That's why so many people settle for lives of mediocrity. They choose the comfort of the known over the discomfort of growth. But I want to challenge you today. Don't let fear rob you of your future. Don't let it convince you to stay in the harbor when you were built to sail. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most alive, the most accomplished. Were those moments free of fear? Of course not. Those were the moments when you faced fear head on and moved through it. Maybe it was starting a new job, speaking in front of an audience, or pursuing a dream you thought was out of reach. Whatever it was, the fear didn't disappear, it diminished as you took action. The key is to change your relationship with fear. Instead of seeing it as a barrier, see it as an invitation. Fear invites you to grow, to learn, to push beyond what you thought was possible. It's not there to stop you, it's there to remind you that you're on the edge of something extraordinary. And remember, fear doesn't last forever. It's like a wave: it rises, peaks, and eventually subsides. But the growth you experience, the strength you build, and the lessons you learn from facing that fear, those last a lifetime. So the next time fear shows up, don't run from it. Acknowledge it, learn from it, and then move forward. Fear is only as powerful as the meaning you give it. When you see it as a signal of growth rather than a warning of danger, it loses its grip on you. You were not created to live a life dictated by fear. You were created to rise above it, to embrace challenges, and to fulfill your purpose. The next time you feel fear, let it remind you of this truth. You're closer than you think to something remarkable. Move forward with courage because the best version of you is waiting on the other side. Challenges are often seen as roadblocks, barriers that stand in the way of what we want to achieve. But let me shift your perspective for a moment. Challenges are not meant to stop you, they are meant to refine you. They are the tools life uses to prepare you for the very things you've been dreaming of. A challenge isn't there to deny you, it's there to shape you, to strengthen you, and to test whether you're ready to handle the greatness that awaits on the other side. Think about this. No one builds strength by sitting still. A weightlifter doesn't grow muscles by avoiding resistance. Growth only comes when you push against something that feels heavy, something that demands effort. Life operates the same way. Challenges are the weights that build the muscles of character, resilience, and perseverance. Without them, you might feel comfortable, but you won't grow. But here's where most people get stuck. They see challenges as walls instead of doors. When you face a challenge, your first reaction might be to stop, to say, "Two's too hard," or "maybe this isn't for me." That's the voice of fear trying to keep you where you are. But if you look closely, you'll see that every challenge has a purpose. It's not a wall meant to block you. It's a door meant to move you to the next level. And like any door, it requires effort to push through. Now, let me remind you of something powerful. You are equipped for the challenges in front of you. Life will never place a challenge in your path without also giving you the tools to overcome it. Sometimes those tools are skills you already possess, and other times the challenge exists to help you develop what you need. Either way, you're not facing this challenge by accident. It's a part of your journey specifically designed for your growth. Think of a diamond. It doesn't become a diamond by sitting comfortably underground. It becomes a diamond through intense pressure and heat. The same is true for you. The challenges you face are applying pressure not to break you, but to transform you into something stronger, something more brilliant. So when you feel the weight of a challenge, don't resist it, embrace it. Understand that this process is refining you, shaping you into the person who can handle the success, the purpose, and the vision you've been called to fulfill. But let's be real, embracing challenges isn't easy. It's uncomfortable. It's uncertain. It's frustrating at times. That's why so many people avoid them. They settle for what's familiar, what's safe, what doesn't stretch them. But comfort zones are not where growth happens. Growth happens when you step out, when you face the unknown, and when you choose to trust the process even when it doesn't make sense. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're climbing a mountain. The path is steep, the air is thin, and your legs are tired. Every step feels harder than the last, but as you push through, something remarkable happens. You reach the summit and the view is breathtaking. Suddenly the struggle feels worth it. That's what challenges do. They stretch you, they test you, but they also reward you with a perspective and strength you couldn't have gained any other way. Now you might ask, what if I fail? What if the challenge is too much for me? Let me remind you of this truth. Failure is not the end. Failure is feedback. It's a lesson. Every great achievement in history was built on a foundation of setbacks and challenges. The question is not whether you'll face difficulties, it's how you respond to them. Will you let them defeat you, or will you let them teach you? Every challenge you overcome becomes a part of your story. It becomes a testimony of your resilience, your courage, and your determination. And that story isn't just for you, it's for the people around you who are watching, who are inspired by your journey, and who need to know that it's possible to overcome their own challenges too. So the next time you face a challenge, don't see it as an obstacle. See it as an opportunity. Ask yourself, what is this challenge trying to teach me? How can it help me grow? Because the truth is, every challenge you embrace takes you one step closer to becoming the person you were created to be. Life's greatest rewards are often found on the other side of the toughest challenges. Don't shy away from them. Face them, learn from them, and let them propel you into your purpose. Remember, you weren't designed for a life of ease, you were designed for greatness. And greatness is forged in the fire of challenges. Fear has a way of growing in the absence of action. It starts as a small thought, a whisper of doubt in your mind, and if left unchecked, it can grow into a loud, immobilizing voice that keeps you from moving forward. But let me tell you this, fear loses its power the moment you take action. Action is the antidote to fear. It is the very thing that shrinks the doubt, silences the hesitation, and builds the confidence you need to keep going. Many people sit and wait for fear to subside before they act. They think, when I feel brave, I'll take that step. But courage doesn't come before action. It comes after. The act of stepping forward, even when you feel uncertain, is what gives birth to courage. That first step may be shaky, your heart may race, and your thoughts may still be filled with questions. But the moment you move, you begin to reclaim control over your mind. You start to prove to yourself that fear isn't the one calling the shots you are. Consider this. Imagine you're standing on the edge of a pool, wanting to dive in. The water feels cold, and the idea of plunging in seems uncomfortable. The longer you stand there, the more your mind exaggerates the discomfort. But the moment you leap, something shifts. Yes, the water is cold, but within seconds your body adjusts and you realize it wasn't as bad as you imagined. That's how fear works. The longer you hesitate, the bigger it feels. But once you take action, you discover that the fear was mostly in your mind. Action creates momentum, and momentum is a powerful force. When you take even the smallest step, it leads to another step and then another. Before you know it, you're moving forward and fear is fading into the background. Progress, no matter how small, builds confidence. Each action you take becomes proof that you are capable, that you can handle the challenge, and that fear doesn't have to hold you back. But let me clarify something important. Action doesn't have to be perfect. Too often people wait for the perfect moment or the perfect plan before they start. But perfection is an illusion, and waiting for it only delays your progress. Taking imperfect action is far more powerful than doing nothing at all. It's in the doing that you learn, that you grow, and that you gain clarity. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What if I take action and fail? Let me tell you something about failure. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's a part of it. Every failure you encounter is a lesson, a stepping stone that moves you closer to your goal. Taking action, even if it leads to failure, is still progress. It's better to fail moving forward than to stay stagnant out of fear. Let me share a truth with you. Action doesn't eliminate fear entirely, but it puts fear in its place. Fear might still linger in the background, but it no longer controls you. Each step you take reinforces your courage, making it easier to take the next one. Over time, what once seemed impossible becomes manageable, and what once intimidated you becomes routine. I think of a child learning to ride a bicycle. At first, they're scared of falling. They may hesitate, wobble, and even fall a few times. But with each attempt, they gain more balance, more confidence, and eventually they're riding freely without a second thought. That transformation happens not because the fear disappeared, but because the action, getting on the bike and trying, created the skill and courage they needed to succeed. You have the same potential within you. Whatever fear you're facing, the solution isn't to overthink it or avoid it. It's to take action. Start small if you have to. Make a phone call, write down a plan. Take one step toward your goal. Each action, no matter how small, is a declaration that you won't let fear dictate your life. When you take consistent action, fear begins to lose its grip. You realize that the things you worried about were never as overwhelming as they seem. You gain a sense of control, knowing that you have the power to move forward no matter what obstacles arise. So don't wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the absence of fear. Start where you are with what you have. Take that first step, and then the next. Each action will build your courage, strengthen your resolve, and bring you closer to the life you're meant to live. Fear may still whisper in your ear, but with every step forward, its voice grows quieter, and your confidence grows louder. Keep moving. Your purpose is greater than your fear. Let that truth sink in for a moment. When fear rises, it often tries to shrink your vision to make the challenge ahead seem insurmountable. It whispers questions like, what if you fail? What if you're not good enough? What if you lose everything? But here's what fear doesn't want you to realize. Your purpose has the power to silence those doubts. When you are clear about why you're doing something, the how becomes manageable and the fear loses its grip. Purpose gives your actions meaning, and meaning gives you strength. Think about the times in your life when you've been driven by something bigger than yourself. Maybe it was providing for your family, achieving a personal dream, or helping someone in need. In those moments, you found yourself pushing through obstacles that would have otherwise stopped you. Why? Because your focus was on the outcome, not the struggle. That's what purpose does. It shifts your attention from the problem to the possibility, from the fear to the future. When fear threatens to overwhelm you, the first question you should ask yourself is, why am I doing this? Your why is the anchor that keeps you steady when the storms of doubt and uncertainty rage around you. It's the compass that guides you when the path ahead feels unclear. Without a clear sense of purpose, it's easy to get lost in fear, to let it dictate your actions or inaction. But with purpose, you have a constant reminder that what you're working toward is worth the discomfort, worth the risk, and worth the effort. Imagine a parent running into a burning building to save their child. In that moment, fear is present, but it doesn't paralyze them. Their love, their purpose overrides the fear. They act because they know the value of what's at stake. Now, not every situation in life is as extreme as that, but the principle is the same. When you are deeply connected to your purpose, fear takes a backseat. But let me also say this, finding and staying connected to your purpose is a process. It requires reflection, clarity, and commitment. Sometimes fear arises because you've lost sight of your why. The daily grind, the setbacks, and the uncertainties can blur your vision. That's why it's so important to regularly remind yourself of what you're working toward. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Keep it in front of you, because purpose is the fuel that keeps you moving forward even when the journey gets tough. Purpose doesn't just give you strength, it also gives you perspective. Fear tends to magnify the immediate discomfort and downplay the long-term reward. It makes the obstacle seem bigger than the opportunity. But purpose flips that script. It helps you see the bigger picture, to realize that the challenge you're facing today is temporary, but the impact of your actions can last a lifetime. Let's talk about the courage that purpose creates. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the ability to move forward despite it.
And that courage comes from knowing that your actions are tied to something full.
When you know that your work, your decisions, and your perseverance are contributing to something greater, it gives you the boldness to take risks, to keep going, and to face the unknown. History is filled with examples of people who overcame immense fear because they were driven by purpose. Think of leaders, innovators, and change makers. They didn't achieve greatness because they had no fear. They achieved it because their purpose was greater than their fear. They were willing to step out, to endure criticism, failure, and setbacks because they were focused on the vision they carried within them. Let me remind you of this. Your purpose is unique to you. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's, and it doesn't have to fit into anyone else's expectations. What matters is that it resonates with you, that it aligns with your values, and that it gives you a reason to keep moving forward. When you honor your purpose, fear loses its ability to control you. So the next time fear tries to stop you, come back to your why. Remind yourself of what's at stake. Think about the people you're serving, the dreams you're pursuing, and the difference you're making. Let your purpose guide you, fuel you, and remind you that you're capable of more than you realize. Your purpose is the foundation on which you build your courage, your resilience, and your determination. Let it lead you through the challenges, and let it remind you that fear is temporary. But the impact of living in alignment with your purpose is eternal. Keep moving forward, because what lies ahead is far greater than the fear that tries to hold you back. The mind is an incredibly powerful tool. What you believe about yourself, your circumstances, and your potential shapes the reality you experience. Fear often begins in the mind, and so does courage. When you renew your mindset, you have the power to change the course of your life. A transformed mind is the key to overcoming fear and embracing the challenges that come your way. This process isn't one-time work, it's a daily intentional practice that must become part of your routine. Think about the thoughts you allow to take root in your mind. The human mind is like a garden. Whatever seeds you plant will eventually grow. If you constantly feed yourself thoughts of doubt, insecurity, and fear, then those will be the crops that flourish. But if you choose to plant seeds of strength, resilience, and possibility, you'll see a harvest of courage and confidence. The power to change begins with a single thought, and over time, that thought, when nurtured and repeated, can completely transform your outlook. Renewing your mindset doesn't mean ignoring the reality of fear. It means choosing not to let fear dictate your actions. Fear may show up, but it doesn't have to control you. When you replace fearful thoughts with empowering beliefs, you train your mind to see opportunities instead of obstacles, solutions instead of problems, and growth instead of defeat. This shift in thinking is the foundation for everything that follows. The mind has an incredible ability to reframe experiences. When you face a challenge, you can choose to see it as an insurmountable problem, or you can reframe it as an opportunity for growth. The reality is that most challenges are not as threatening as they seem when we are looking at them through the lens of fear. It's easy to get overwhelmed when you focus on how big a mountain seems. But when you change your perspective and start thinking about how each step gets you closer to the top, you begin to realize that the journey is just a series of manageable steps. To renew your mindset, you must also change the language you use with yourself. The words you speak to yourself shape your identity and influence your decisions. How often do you catch yourself saying, "I can't do this," or "this is too difficult"? Those thoughts create mental barriers that prevent you from taking action. Instead, replace those limiting beliefs with affirmations of possibility. I am capable, I am equipped for this challenge, and I have everything I need to succeed. But renewing your mindset also requires a commitment to consistency. You can't expect your mindset to change overnight, just as you can't expect to see results from exercising once and quitting. The work of transforming your thoughts is a daily practice. Every day you have the opportunity to either reinforce old patterns of thinking or to create new ones. You have the choice to wake up and focus on your fears, or to choose to focus on your goals. Over time, these small choices accumulate, and you begin to build a mindset of resilience and optimism. It's also important to note that renewing your mindset is not about denying the difficulties of life. It's about acknowledging the challenges you face while choosing to believe that you are capable of overcoming them. It's about looking at the obstacle and saying, "I may not know how I'm going to overcome this right now, but I trust that I will find a way. I will keep moving forward." That belief, that unwavering trust in your ability to figure things out, is what sustains you when fear tries to pull you down. Let me be clear, renewing your mindset requires intention and focus. It's not something that just happens by accident. It's easy to let negative thoughts take over when you're facing difficulties, but it takes effort to replace those thoughts with positive, empowering ones. Surround yourself with people who encourage you and challenge your thinking. Read books that inspire you. Watch content that uplifts you. These are the things that feed your mind and help you stay grounded in the belief that you can overcome anything. Over time, you'll notice a profound change. What once seemed impossible will become part of your reality. Your confidence will grow, and the fear that once paralyzed you will have less and less power over you. With a renewed mindset, you'll start to embrace challenges as opportunities, knowing that each one brings you closer to becoming the person you were meant to be. In the end, it's your mindset that will determine whether you rise above fear or let it keep you stuck. A renewed mind is one that sees the world with clarity and courage, always ready to face what's ahead, no matter how daunting it may seem. Choose to renew your mind every single day, and you will find yourself rising to challenges, overcoming fear, and walking boldly into the future you are meant to create. Remember that fear is not a force to be feared, but a signal to rise, to face the challenges ahead with courage, purpose, and resilience. As you renew your mindset and embrace the obstacles in your path, understand that each challenge is a stepping stone that builds your character, sharpens your focus, and brings you closer to your greater purpose. Never forget that you are equipped to overcome anything life throws your way. Your fear may knock at the door, but it is your determination, your strength, and your unwavering belief in your purpose that will answer. So, take action. Stay connected to your why and renew your mind every day. The journey may not always be easy, but the rewards are beyond what you can imagine. Keep moving forward, no matter the challenges, and know that every step you take brings you closer to becoming the person you were meant to be. Good luck as you embrace every opportunity and challenge that comes your way. Thank you for your time. And remember, the power to overcome fear and embrace challenges is within you always.